wasn't worried about that.
I should have thought of that.
Yeah, next time, I guess. All right. So, wow, that was some really good training that we just had. That last training, I have never been involved with an institution that couldn't have used that training. That was unbelievable. I was like, yes, that was really excellent training. There's that kind of training. There's like Navy training, which is really, really boring and dry, and looking at computer-based training. So I was glad that we got the ladder there. And then Erin's training, I've never seen anything like it. She did an hour's worth of training in 20 minutes. that girl can talk fast. Wow. That's how you know she has some caffeine. All right, I want to talk about being a leader and being a follower and that kind of relation. So, I always do these ROTC interviews. People are looking to go to college and get a scholarship and then go on and be an officer. I do the interviews before they go and start that. And so they're basically high school students. They have maybe a little bit of leadership experience, captain of a football team, captain of, whatever it is. But I always kind of ask them, be like, okay, thinking about it, when you think of a good leader, like maybe somebody you saw in the movies, maybe a historical figure, who do you think of? Who do you want to emulate? And so I'm kind of curious what you guys kind of think of that. Some leader that you kind of always wanted to emulate, maybe like President Lincoln. That's kind of my favorite leader. But what kind of historical figures, movie stars, do you think are great leaders or played a great leadership role? Any ideas? Give me something.
Angelou.
Oh, great leader. There you go. There you go. Why is that? Who said that?
I did.
Okay.
I'm
Why
not
is
gonna tell you why. That's who I would. You only asked why or who, so I'm not giving you why.
I think bravery. I think bravery. That's kind of my thing. But all right, who else? Any others?
Rosa Parks.
All right, why is that?
She uncharted territory. She wasn't fearful.
Definitely.
She just kept going.
Definitely. All right. And both of those, I think, kind of leading by example. Wasn't anything that they particularly said. It's more what they did, how they lived. So, all right. Anybody else? Anybody else got anything? I think of like General Patton's kind of like one of my leadership things. This guy's kind of awesome, I think. But he was, kind of like a dictatorial type where he, do this, do this, do this, and he got it done. He's very effective. Sometimes I wonder though, in a different circumstance, if it wasn't in World War II, would he have been effective? So, all right, good deal. So when you think of a leader, like what do you think of a role of a leader does? Leadership roles. So what kind of ideas do you have? Maybe someone in the front row.
Vision caster.
Vision caster. All right, great. Vision caster. So that's kind of, I've never heard that term before Premier, by the way, but vision caster. Giving somebody kind of a vision, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. What else we got?
Role model.
Role model.
Always being there.
Okay. Being there, encouragement. Yeah, there we go.
Humility.
All kinds of good stuff there. What was the other one?
Humility.
Humility. It's great. That's kind of what he was talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like looking back and a little bit introspective. All right. So I had one like, kind of when you think of leaders, especially in the military, I guess, it's kind of like giving orders, barking orders, kind of the vision that we get sometimes when we're thinking about that. All right, leader has a lot of good ideas, right? Leadership, you're going to have a lot of experience typically. What do you think about that? Do you think you got it all figured out? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I guarantee, like, who just signed up? Is there anybody you kind of like look up to and you're like, okay, is there anybody you kind of look up to and be like, wow, they're amazing. They got a lot of great answers, great ideas, right? All right, good deal. All right, leader has more to offer than the follower. That's kind of true sometimes, right? I mean, certainly you have the experience, you got some training, but do you always have something to offer?
Without the followers, there would be no leader.
Yeah, there you go.
Because there has to
Definitely.
be
Well, especially
somebody
here,
there.
right? Absolutely, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Right, volunteer army. There we go. We got a volunteer army. That's awesome. Feedback flows from leader to follower. So pretty much, whenever you're talking to somebody in your downline, you're telling them, hey, I think this is a good idea. You might want to try this. But that feedback generally kind of goes that way down your downline. All right. Is that always perfect though?
No.
No. He kind of stole my thunder a little bit. He talked about feedback, and I was like, "Yeah, are you kidding me? Like every time I do training, the person before me, like in some way, like talks about something a little bit different." But yeah, absolutely, like the feedback, it really should go both ways. But I want to talk about expectations because, as a leader, you have certain expectations to the new jewelers. Do you have any examples of that? Like what you expect of a new jeweler?
Be open to listening and learning and
Teachable.
Learning.
teachable, yeah.
Teachable. We're at training, right? You guys are at training. So that's a huge first step. That's the first thing, is being at training, being there, and trying to improve. Anything else?
To go above your expectations.
What's that?
To go above and beyond your expectations.
Above and beyond expectations. Okay. Hey, you're like, hey, you know, this is what we're kind of looking. Ideally, you do like 2 shows.
Communication.
Communication.
Because you can't read their mind, so if they have a question about something, like trust, so that enough that they can trust you, that they feel comfortable enough to come to you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Communications is just huge. It's really at the base of everything you do. You're communicating with your upline, communicating with your downline, communicating with customers, whatever it is. Poor communications, and you're going to really struggle, right? All right, good. What about the reverse, though? We really thought about that. Like new jewelers, how many people have been in for 6 months or less? Okay, all right, we got a lot of people. So have you guys thought about like what kind of expectations you have for your leadership? Has anybody really thought about that?
Let's hear it. Can they like speak up?
Yeah, definitely. New jewelers, like what do you expect out of your upline? What do you hope for?
Support.
Yeah, Frenchman.
Encouragement? Friendship? Yeah. Training? That's kind of a given. Anything else though?
A boot in the butt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that. And it's good to communicate that because some people are very uncomfortable doing something like that. My wife, I love it. Every time I do training, I know I'm going to throw her on the bus like 1 or 2 times, and then it ends up being like 6, 7, 8. So my wife, she loves encourage. Right.
Thank you, Lori.
She loves encourage. She's such a great cheerleader, but sometimes it's like, Erin, maybe a little kick in the butt is exactly what they need and kind of want, and she doesn't really think about that all the time. I think sometimes everybody can use a little kick in the butt. I know that we need a kick in the butt. You know, we one of the first things that we did when I really thought about joining Premier is have this like mission statement and all these things that we kind of want to achieve and principles that we want to achieve it by. And the reason I did that is because if we veered off course, I wanted something to look back on, but I also wanted our downline to say, hey, you said this, but I'm seeing this and what's going on. I want that feedback. That's huge. So that's why I did that thing. All right. Any other expectations that we have from new jewelers?
You need to make your expectations known. You can't just have them and not both ways. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly. All right. So I got a little C story. It's amazing to me how many things I've taken from Premier and actually applied in the Navy. So like one of the what was the verbiage that I used? Oh, I caught myself this one day. I was calling somebody and I was like, "Hey, it's your favorite officer recruiter," and that's exactly because I guarantee they're gonna remember me now. It's just something like really funny that they're gonna remember that. It's so crazy. You never know how you're gonna apply this stuff. But does anybody remember Andy Horner's what he calls himself? What title he gave himself? CSO, Chief Servant Officer. I heard him talk, and he was talking about leadership and being in the position that he was. And by then, I had been in the Navy a while, and I was starting to figure out leadership. It's a continuing process, by the way. It's always a struggle. You're always learning. But at that point, I was like, okay, I have a pretty good understanding of who I am as a leader and what I can provide. So I was starting to get there. But he talked about that, being a Chief Servant Officer, and what he meant for that to everybody that works in Premier. And I was like, yes, that's absolutely right. Like, your downline, people that are under you or under me as a leader, they're not there to serve me. I'm there to serve them and make them effective at their job and progress them in their career and progress them in their training. I thought that was huge. So I think that was at a national rally where he said that. And then I went on the ship, actually when I was deployed to the Middle East. We were going out there and I was talking with a senior enlisted guy, the guy that I worked very closely with. And between us, we had a division of about 20 other enlisted folks. And I was like, we never really sat down with these people and talked about what expectations were and how they thought that we can improve our system, some of the things that we did. And I said, I know going into it that the perspective that a pretty junior enlisted guy is going to have is going to be different than our perspective. And they're going to see things and be like, this is a waste of my time, but we're going to have a different perspective. Maybe there's a reason that they have to do things a certain way. But I said, honestly, we're probably not going to come up with the best ideas. The best ideas are probably going to come up from the more junior people. So I said, why don't we make an effort to sit down with everybody, one-on-one, and have them fill out a sheet that says, okay, what our expectations are of them and see what they think, and have their expectations for us. Because I think there are some things that we can do for them that they don't even realize. And I was kind of amazed, shortly after we started, some of the issues that our sailors had that never came up and talked to us. Maybe it was pride. Maybe they thought they were too busy for it. Maybe we didn't provide the forum for them to come and talk to us about it. But people had, financial issues where, they make good money and they're doing pretty well, but $200-300 that maybe the government owed them or something like that they were struggling to get is something that myself and this other senior person can take care of pretty quickly, but they never told us about it. We didn't know these people had these problems. One guy, his family was living in Texas, he's living in Florida, and he's having trouble getting them from Texas into Florida. And so it was these things that we had no idea. It was kind of amazing to go over that stuff. And the expectations. To be honest with you, most of the people didn't really know how to express what expectations they had for us as the as an upline or whatever, as the superiors. And I said, what about this? I actually gave them some ideas. I said, what about this? And we were talking about doing you're requesting leave or something like that. You probably want to know whether you got your leave approved and be able to go on vacation pretty shortly after you put in that request. It shouldn't be sitting there for a month or 2 months and you're not sure if you're going to be able to go or not. So that was kind of one of the examples there. But you should do the same thing in Premier and be like, hey, what do you need from me? What do you feel? Obviously in the beginning it's going to be a lot of training, but it might progress too as you're in for 3, 6 months, maybe a year. So, all right, that was, so I could blame, or not blame, but give credit to Andy Horner for that. He totally changed my, my view on that. How about contests? What do you guys think about contests? Love contests, right? They're fun.
Depends.
Contests are fun, right? What's that?
Depends.
It depends. What do you mean?
It's an individual. Not everyone's contest driven.
Exactly. So not everybody's contest driven, and that's kind of that's where expectations come into play. Is this something you need? Maybe it's not something you need. Maybe you don't really care. Maybe you need it. One of the things I told Aaron is that, hey, if we're going to be doing contests, let's be intentional about it. If we're going to do a contest, there should be a specific reason we're doing it. Maybe we have some people in our downline that are struggling, they need to get bookings, whatever, so run a contest and encourage that and get them up there. But if you're just running contests for the sake of running contests, you don't really know why, then you don't really know if they're effective or not. That's the other thing. At the conclusion of the contest, hey, did we get the right response that we're looking for? If not, why? Can we improve it? Should we just scrap it all together? Did it work really well? Well, we're going to do this again, whatever it is. So how about the downline? What do you guys think of contests, or maybe some of the folks that are just starting? Good, fun, helpful?
There's different kind of contests too, because there's contests where you're in competition, whoever has the most, and then sometimes there's contests where it's just if you have X amount, you get. So you're in contest with yourself.
Right.
So those are
Goal-oriented
two different.
contests.
Yeah, goal-oriented. That's right.
Yeah, definitely. No, point of the contest is that you have to know your downline and what they're looking for, especially when you're doing contests. And contests should be fair, right? So when you're thinking about setting up a contest, is someone obviously going to benefit from it when somebody else isn't going to benefit from it? And how's that perception going to be taken? So all these things should be considered when you're thinking of contests. All right, feedback. So here's a bullet. I had a bullet here. Feedback. So that was amazing he said that. So quick C story. After everything that we do in the Navy, we're going to have a discussion and see how it went. I guarantee everything that we do, there's always room for improvement. And normally one of the first things that we say is communications. Communications could have been better. Always. Communications can always be better, so it's something to constantly strive for. But we sit down and it's maybe the captain of our ship down to a junior sailor, and everybody's talking about things they thought went well, things they thought didn't go so well, and it's a free forum to talk about how things went. And so I know when we did Haven of Hope, I was kind of curious, Dave and a few other guys that were there, I was like, hey, what did you guys think of it? How would you improve this? And so we had some feedback. And the thing about it was, it's not personal. That, Erin did a lot of planning and stuff like that. She didn't take it personally for like, hey, we should have done this or that, maybe this could have been better. And then, now we can use that information the next time we do a Haven of Hope. Be like, hey, here's what we discovered, here's the problem that we have. This went really well, we're definitely going to do this again. But that's constructive feedback. There's something that you can do to improve the process, and you're offering up a suggestion. Then there's complaining. All right, so what's the difference between feedback and complaining, do you think?
Data or emotion?
What's that?
Data driven or emotion driven?
Sorry,
that was the engineering.
Honestly, either one. I'll go with data. I'm a data guy, I guess, so I'm kind of leaning towards that. But it can be emotional too.
And feedback offer like some kind of way to fix it.
That's, I think, the biggest thing. When you're talking about feedback, be like, hey, I noticed this. What if we tried this? Would this make it better? If you're just like, this stunk. You're just complaining. It's just noise. I don't get anything from it. But
Feedback is somebody wanting, I think, positive change, something that will benefit the group.
A complainer doesn't necessarily want change, they just want to complain.
Right, right.
People
I want to
complain.
talk. I want attention. That's what that is.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. That's something that took me a while to learn too. Is if I had an issue at work, it was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do to fix it? Before I go to my superior, be like, hey, I got this issue. Okay, what are you gonna do to fix it? I need to. I don't know. What do you want me to do? No. You figure it out. You're the officer. Go figure it out. So. That was a big thing. Is offering up solutions to possible problems or gripes that you have. All right.
One of the biggest things, if I can just add to that our boss at work says is, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my
Exactly.
It's tough, by the way. That's tough.
All right. So we're talking about feedback. There's appropriate time. Okay. There's appropriate times for feedback too, right? If we got like this big event going on, it's our baby. We've been working on it. We've been working on it for months. Whatever it is, it's the day before. It'd be like, I think it'd be a great idea if we did this. That's not the right time. That's not the right time. That's a good idea, Ferry, right there. That is not the time to come up with some kind of solution or something like that, or think, I think we should change it a little bit. That's totally the wrong time because it's too late at that point to go and change the plan. So there is a time frame there. Maybe it's right after the event or whatever. Maybe it's months before, but not right before. That's terrible. All right. There was something I learned when I was at ROTC. It was kind of a leadership continuum. So the first thing is they said that the worst leaders are the incompetent leaders that thinks they're a great leader. And why is that, do you think?
Say that again. Yeah, say it again.
An incompetent leader that thinks they're a great leader.
An incompetent leader would be.
Because no one has told them otherwise.
Right? No one's told them otherwise. Yeah, they're not willing to change. They don't want to learn. I'm a great leader. Why should I listen to anybody? I got it all figured out. That's the worst kind of leader. The second worst kind of leader, but a little bit better, is an incompetent leader that knows they're a bad leader. That's not a bad thing, by the way. If you're in a new leadership position, you're not going to be great right at the beginning. Being something that you're like, hey, maybe I'm not real effective here. Maybe I got to figure things out. At least you're willing to learn. You're willing to learn from the people that are below you, or maybe the people that are above you. All right, and then there's a good leader who knows that they're good enough. So I'm good enough. Why should I really change? It's the same thing. They're not going to listen. They're effective. They're effective because they're a good leader. They get things done, but they're not going to change. So they're never going to be a great leader. And then finally, a competent leader knows that they can be better. That's probably the best leader you can have because they don't ever think that they're going to be a great leader, a perfect leader. They're always going to be receptive to feedback. They're going to listen to their subordinates or their upline or downline, whatever it is. All right. So wrapping things up a little bit, expectations should go both ways. And that should be something that you talk with your downline, you talk with your upline, what you expect of them. Sometimes people are just kind of go-getters. They go and get it. They don't need contests, whatever it is. Some people are like, hey, I love having that because it gives me kind of a goal to drive towards, and I need that feedback. A forum to provide constructive feedback. One of the things that we talked about doing is when we have a new jeweler, after 90 days, sitting down with them and seeing how things are going. Are they succeeding? Have they paid off their initial investment? Are they going forward? Are they bookings on the calendar? Are they struggling with bookings? Are they thinking about sponsoring? Whatever it is. But 90 days is kind of key because at that point you start to have an idea of how you're doing and where you might be struggling. All right, offer solutions to improve any kind of conflicts. So that's the biggest thing. If you're, don't complain, offer constructive criticism, and don't be afraid to offer constructive criticism. It shouldn't be a personal thing. Don't attack somebody because you don't necessarily agree with them, but definitely provide that feedback. I know even after this train, be like, hey, what could I have done better? Whatever it is. Aaron's going to be like, my train's great. I got an hour worth of training in 20 minutes. And then I have respect the chain of command. So we talk about chain of command. You get upline, downline, and premier. We're chain of command. So when you're, even if you have somebody above you that you don't necessarily think is maybe the greatest leader, it happens. They're learning too. Still respect them. Respect them enough to have that feedback and be like, I think that, what if we did this way? Or I don't quite understand why we're doing that. If we do this, maybe it's a little bit better. Don't be obnoxious about it, but offer those little feedback. And if you're going to talk to somebody above that, then at least give the person above you a heads up. Be like, hey, I was thinking about talking to so-and-so, and they should be receptive to that. That should be fine. So there's no issue with that. And one of the things, too, with the chain of command, mentorship. Just because maybe Aaron signed you up, maybe your personality is not quite in line with what Aaron does, but you're like, Carrie's awesome. My personality's all like her, so I want to see what she does, because maybe that'll work for me. So don't be afraid to seek outside feedback. I think it's actually a good thing. All right. So that's any questions?
Yeah.
I think I got like 2 minutes.
What about communicating